On this week's episode, Meta's not so meta with MetaQuest 2. What's the future for the Gray Man? And who could be the next Lara Croft? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, the Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, the great folks at Vampires and Vitae, the even awesome, more great folks at Wizards and Wine, our tremendous amount of games that we have each and every week right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, because we are the #1 streamer for tabletop RPG games at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, because we do it better than anyone else. We've got several games a week, action galore right there for you in the video section at the Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. And if you can go ahead and support us right there, popculturecosmos.com, Pop Culture Cosmos, wherever you get your social media, Vampires and Vitae, wherever you get your podcasts, and everything that we do here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. She is getting back home in the rain. She had to go ahead and, I think her and her husband, Robbie Ross, had to go ahead and weed their way through the waters here in Las Vegas due to a sudden thunderstorm, maybe in a motorboat, I think, just to get back to just to do the show. She is our navigator through the rough waters and the tides and this ocean, that's known as Las Vegas for Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to check out what she's doing today at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. Her tremendous games, Vampires and Vitae, wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, like I mentioned, Wizards and Wine with The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It is my good friend, Mrs. Melinda Barkhouse Ross. And Melinda, I am just glad you made it home safe.
Yeah, me too. I'm used to seeing a lot of lightning. I've lived on the coast, on the ocean, so you get a lot of heat lightning and all of that kind of stuff. But it has been years since I've seen nonstop, steady lightning like we had there a little while ago. That was wild.
And for somewhere like Las Vegas, where it
Yeah.
doesn't rain for like hundreds of days,
Yeah.
this came out of the blue. It just dropped. And you know what? In typical Las Vegas fashion, it left town. It left town dry.
Yeah.
Not exactly in dollars per se, but it just left town dry indeed. But we've got a great show on tap. Again, check out what Melinda's doing each and every week with Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and of course, everything that she's doing Wizards and Wine and Vampires and Vitae. She'll go ahead later in the show and let you know what she's up to when it concerns those great games. But we've got a lot on tap to discuss. Got to talk about some under the radar TV picks for both her and myself. That's coming up on the back end. Tomb Raider. The rights for Tomb Raider from MGM have been gone, are now ceased to exist. She is a free agent on the movie open market. What's the future for Tomb Raider movie? Could it be a streaming series? Who will play Lara Croft? We're going to go ahead and share our thoughts on that coming up on the back end of the show, plus additional thoughts on the brand new trailers for Blonde coming up on Netflix in September. Samaritan with Sylvester Stallone in August. I'm going to drop that one on later on here in a bit. Plus also Oppenheimer, the new strategy that's been put out there by Universal Pictures for its upcoming movie based on the very controversial figure that is known as Oppenheimer. Cillian Murphy is playing the lead role, along with a bevy of world-famous stars. So we're going to be talking about some thoughts on those 3 new trailers that just dropped this week that were not Comic-Con related. That's coming up in a bit. MetaQuest 2 is really not the favorite of any fans out there. because Meta dropped a bombshell this week when it concerns the future and a price change for MetaQuest 2, and it has gotten a lot of negative feedback coming on the heels of an announcement later that day that they lost a whole ton of money in the previous quarter. So we'll talk about the price change for MetaQuest 2 and how dumb a move that was by Meta. That's coming up here in a bit. The Gray Man, the Gray Man is excelling on Netflix. I'll share some thoughts on that because I actually had a chance to see it. But what's the future for the Gray Man? If you're a fan of the Gray Man, you might like what we have to say coming up here in a bit as well. But Melinda, it was Comic Con, the fallout. It's kind of slow right now because I think everybody just I would use a gun analogy as far as Chamber is concerned, but I think I don't want to use that in bad taste. So I will
Mhm.
just say that they cleared out a lot of the news during the course this past weekend at Comic Con. I know you haven't had a chance to go ahead and share some thoughts. I know we shared thoughts on day one, but there, of course, were a lot of things that were going on after that with Marvel, DC, Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, ton of things that we actually showcased here at the Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. Not only did we talk about it, but we had dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of articles that we presented to you at Facebook at Pop Culture Cosmos. But I want to hear what you have to say on your thoughts on what happened at Pop Culture Cos at Comic Con, at San Diego's Comic Con. Was it as great an experience for you getting back to see everything at San Diego's Comic Con for 2022?
You know what? There's a part of me, a very selfish part of me, Gerald, I have to be honest with you, very
Mm-hmm.
selfish part of me. Um, I really want to try to go next year. As an attendee, not as like a media, not as media coverage. I mean, obviously I will if I go, but that's not my intent. So, um, there's a part of me that wants it to have been a step down from where Comic-Con usually is. So when I go next year, it's amazing. See
I
how
think it's
selfish I am?
well. The thing is, though, because it's been virtual for the
Yeah.
past couple of years, because of what's happened with the coronavirus, that I
Mhm.
think a lot of these studios just wanted to unload a lot of information,
Absolutely.
especially Marvel. Marvel came into the situation we talked about it last week that it was really something up in arms as far as what was going on in the phase four, a lot of confusion, nobody really knowing what's going on, no seemingly no direction. And the question was there, could they actually be losing out that weekend at Comic-Con to DC? Because all DC had to do was step up to the plate, knock a whole bunch of things off that list, showcase a lot of things upcoming, and they could have had a real chance to take Comic-Con. But unfortunately, due to the controversy in regards to Amber Heard and
Mhm.
Ezra Miller, they decided to hold off on showing future aspects of the DC universe. They only showed what's coming up this year in Shazam and also Black Adam. And I think that was to their detriment because Marvel came in, it dropped the proverbial hammer, Mjolnir, as we say in Marvel land, and they killed it. And they
Yeah.
absolutely showcase what they're going to be doing for most of phase four, five, and six. I know there's going to be some things that they're going to add on in D23 that they're going to sprinkle in there coming up in the future. But I think for the most part, showcasing so many different projects coming up in the next 2, 3 years was really amazing.
And the correct thing to do, let's be honest.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's gosh, at this point, it's so hard to slow Marvel down. And I can remember saying, we just need to like one piece of information that's going to make all of the things that we don't quite understand about the next few phases for Marvel to make sense. And I feel like they gave us those pieces. Um, I feel like I have an understanding of the things to come and how they're going to continue to evolve the Marvel multiverse. So I'm excited for them. I'm excited as a fan to get into it.
Do we need to get a lawyer?
Why would we need to get a lawyer?
Because as the co-hosts as we are of the PCC
Yeah.
Multiverse,
Yeah.
which really had the name since 2016,
Uh-huh.
Marvel coming in with its multiverse saga. I don't know the naming rights. Not sure I'm digging that, but you know what? We are in the middle of the multiverse saga, as it were, as they now officially named it as far as phase 4, 5, and 6. Phase 4 will be ending in the not too distant future with both She Hulk and, of course, Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2. Those two trailers were shown to the public and also the people behind the scenes at Comic Con. And then they showcased a lot of other footage for other shows at Comic Con, which they have not showcased to the public as of yet. So I'm hoping to check that out. But your overall thoughts on Comic Con? I mean, I know I want to go too. I would love. That's actually on the bucket list right there for me as
Right.
well. That and CinemaCon. Really want to go ahead and knock those two out before I die, which I'm hoping not to do so in many years. But I want to know what actually did. Anything else stand out for you at Comic Con before we hit the break?
Who the John Wick trailer to me was a triumph.
Yes.
You know, it's it's more of the things that make the John Wick films great, and they
Yes.
continue to find ways to turn the volume up on those movies. And I don't know how they're doing it, but I'm here for it and I love it. So I hope that they don't stop anytime soon.
I hope that
And
they don't either.
yeah, and I really enjoyed the What We Do in the Shadows panel. I loved learning that Matt Berry, who plays Laszlo, um, had no idea how popular What We Do in the Shadows was until he went to Comic Con and people just started yelling "Bat" at him all the time. I thought that, yeah, "Bat." I thought that was great. And some of the unfortunate news now that Comic Con is over and people have gone home and stuff, and if you attend conventions like that, you're used to hearing about the con crud. Everybody seems to get the same cold after the convention is over. George
Yes.
R. Martin has COVID, so
Yes.
here's to
So I
hoping it
heard.
for a speedy recovery for him for sure.
I know he wanted to go ahead and be there for the premiere of episode 1 of The House of the Dragon because I know they
Yeah.
showcased that to members of the press well
Hmm.
in advance, too. I think that was
Yeah.
the weird part about it. That's almost like what Naughty Dog does with the Uncharted and Last of Us games. They showcase that, I think, a month in advance before
Mhm.
it actually goes to retail. So that was very interesting that they did that, but he was unable to attend. They say he's doing fine, so I wish him all the best. And hopefully while he's at home can finish up the book I think that everybody wants him to finish up that he's
Right.
still not finished with and that he said was going to be finished with many years ago, but we won't really get into that. But yeah, definitely a great time at San Diego's Comic Con for 2022. Again, I was disappointed with DC. They had really going into it all the momentum. Marvel was people were starting to be burnt out. You could see the kind of money that they're bringing in was not what they used to bring in. Both Thor and also Doctor Strange not hitting $1 billion, I think was maybe kind of a little sign that what's the future. Although, gosh, do you have a $700 to $900 million film in the kitty right now? I mean, that's great. Not every studio does, so we shouldn't really
Right.
complain there. But
Yeah.
hi, Taka is saying hi once again. Wish you well, Taka. Hope everything is okay for you. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate it, Taka. And welcome back to the PCC Multiverse. But yeah, definitely some things to go ahead and consider. I think DC and Warner Brothers, I think afterwards got to be shaking their heads why they didn't pull the string on some more stuff that they could have showcased at Comic Con that would have at least leveled the playing field a bit. Because I think they went in thinking that they could have gone in, done showed a little bit, and they would have been just fine because they didn't think Marvel was going to showcase very much. They thought, okay, they're going to wait till D23, or they don't really have a great direction because of what's going on in Phase 4. As Phase 4 has been all over the place, I don't think really that Marvel's going to be doing all that much. And then Marvel came in and killed it, and it really was a message that I think shots fired to unfortunately the way that I have to go ahead and say it, as far as the old cannonball, I guess way to say it, as far as
Mhm.
that's concerned. But yeah, definitely something, definitely a message was sent, and I think to fans out there, it's in many fans out there, it's reignited that passion. I know there's a portion of the fans that are upset that they didn't replace T'Challa, but this wasn't like it was news because Kevin Feige has been saying for years he's not going to, since the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, that they were not going to replace the T'Challa character. And I think that people were just, it was hit with them when the trailer came out. They, oh, he's not going to be in it. He's not going to get replaced. He's not, okay. This is not like it's an accident. This was something that's been planned and in the works for a long time now, since his unfortunate untimely passing, that he was not going to be a part of it, that there was not going to be a replacement, that the Black Panther would be either Shuri or Okoye or someone within that community. For as far as Lupita Nyong'o, she might be the next Black Panther. Still wasn't clear exactly who that is, but it would be someone other than who they wanted to. And so I think that kind of feedback was disappointing. But other than that, Marvel just absolutely killed it. I'm looking forward to Wakanda Forever. I'm looking forward to She-Hulk and seeing what's upcoming for 4, 5, and 6 in phases as we complete phase 4 and head into phase 5 and phase 6.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the Black Panther 2 trailer, the tone of the trailer felt correct. It felt
Yes,
like, moving forward with a heavy heart was what I felt from that trailer. And
agreed.
yeah, and I thought that it was the correct tone. It was the right way to do it, the right way to approach it. And if you've read the comics, there's a possibility that we already know who is going to be taking up the mantle of Black Panther, but that remains to be seen for the movie and what Marvel has decided to do and how closely they'll stick with those comics.
And what could it be like as far as the confrontation is concerned with Namor? Because the Submariner was
Mhm.
introduced in that trailer and will be a major part as far as the actual movie is concerned, as Wakanda may face off against Atlantis. We may see a battle there, so I'm looking forward to that. There's also as well some hints of possibly Doctor Doom. A lot of people asking
Hmm.
about Doctor Doom being a part of this as well, so interesting to see. But She-Hulk looking like it's going to be very funny. Obviously, the fact that it's taking place in Southern California, as far as the what's going on with all the guest stars coming in, obviously going ahead of Mark Ruffalo. We're going to have as playing the Hulk again, coming in, teaching her the ropes as being a Hulk. We have Wong coming in. We have Tim Roth coming in as well, playing his character from the Incredible Hulk. So yeah, definitely looks like a fun show as well. But yeah, the future looks like it's really set up for Marvel, and they really killed it at Comic Con.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't. mm, if I was in DC's shoes right now, I would be sweating a little bit, and perhaps this year with everything that's gone on with two relatively large pieces of their puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know that this would have been the year to come in and go hard, unfortunately, with the way that things have gone for those particular actors in the last year or so. Um so as much as you may have, as a person working for DC, I'm just putting myself in their shoes, as much as you would have wanted to come out there and swing for the fences, perhaps it's best that you don't until you have all your ducks in a row. So it's a missed opportunity, absolutely. But that keeps my fingers crossed for next year and hopefully some future announcements before we get to Comic Con next year.
Well, we'll find out indeed. But what are your thoughts out there on Comic Con? All the great things that were showcased. Again, Marvel, DC, Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, as far as House of the Dragon, as far as Game of Thrones is concerned, John Wick 4, Berserker, which is the anime that he's actually working on for Netflix. So a ton of stuff showcased there. Marvel Animation with all the announcements that they made. So we want to hear your thoughts. What you enjoyed best at Comic Con and what you actually really wanted to see at Comic Con. Maybe did you get it done as far as what you wanted to see, or was there something else that you wanted to see from Comic Con that wasn't announced? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Well, the show continues right here at the PCC Multiverse, my friend. Still going on right here. Melinda Barkhouse Ross and me, Gerald Glassford. The Gray Man was not showcased at Comic Con. It was showcased on Netflix, and after a small week in the theaters with just a few theaters, really didn't do anything substantial in the theaters. It got put out there on Netflix last Friday, and boy, has it done great numbers for Netflix. especially in a time of need after their recent reports as far as how many subscribers they lost, losing almost 1 million subscribers, which actually was better than prognostication. So I guess that's good news, kind of. But the Gray Man was number one in over 92 countries that it was shown in. So that was amazing for them as far as a great start for this $200 million picture headed by the Russo brothers, starring Chris Evans, starring Ryan Gosling as the title character. And then the announcement was made in a Q&A this week that Netflix and the Russo brothers are already working on a sequel to The Gray Man and a prequel to The Gray Man. So what are your thoughts out there on this evolving thing going on with The Gray Man? I thought The Gray Man movie itself, I got a chance to see it, was okay as a popcorn flick. I give it about a 7, I think, out of 10, which is, okay. Definitely watchable, definitely enjoyable. I think Ryan Gosling was pretty much cash it in Ryan Gosling all the way through. He really didn't have to do much other than brood half the time and really didn't say a whole lot, didn't need to
That's
say
how
a
I
whole
like
lot.
my That's how I like my Ryan Gosling, though.
Then there you go. You get it all the time. I personally think he was much better in Blade Runner, but that's just my choice. But I will say that the distraction or the detraction was probably, and I really am sad about saying this, was Chris Evans.
Really?
And it wasn't just because of the mustache. I think that Chris Evans, since doing Captain America, has tried to find every anti Captain America role he could find, and in doing so, there's been some hits and misses. I definitely think he was good with a kind of subdued, nefarious character in Knives Out. I really thought that him being the bad guy in Knives Out was really actually a good turn for him. Here, he was just, pardon the pun, mustache twirling as far as his evil bad guy is concerned. And I
Right.
think he was a little bit over the top, especially for what was asked for. And maybe at times it worked with him being so over the top and Ryan Gosling being so subdued. So it balances itself out. But I still think, for the most part, Chris Evans was eh, not quite as his good self as far as being the bad guy in this situation, but still did not detract it so much that oh man, I can't stand this film. This film was fun, action, very fast paced. And I think that's the best thing I can say about it, is that the Russos know that wasn't the greatest script in the world, wasn't the greatest, of little bits here and there, but it's very stylistic and it's very quick cuts and it's very fast paced, which makes it entertaining for people. You don't stay anywhere anytime for a long period of time. And I think that's the best thing I could say about it, because it makes it so much more enjoyable as a popcorn flick. Good
And
morning.
popcorn, yeah, sorry. And popcorn flicks, people give popcorn flicks a lot of flack. I love me a good popcorn flick.
This works as a popcorn flick. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so great. I can't wait to watch it. I haven't yet. Between editing podcasts and prepping for 3 and 4 hour D&D sessions and work and other commitments, I don't always have time for TV, which is shocking to say. But yeah, it's on my list of things to watch, and as I'm talking to more and more people, it's slowly creeping up the list. So I may end up watching that before I get a chance to watch the latest episode of What We Do in the Shadows, which is
Okay.
pretty serious for me. So
But
that
but
is so funny. I love it.
but I will say again, The Gray Man is a solid watch. And then again, they announced that, well, kind of actually in a Q&A, that they are working on a sequel, and also as well they are working on a prequel to The Gray Man as far as his character is concerned, and obviously the agency that's involved. I know you were talking about behind the scenes before we went on the air about all the co-stars. Ana de Armas, who again, it was with Ryan Gosling. They did a great job together in Blade Runner. They did a really solid job here as far as their interactions with each other on screen. Again, very subdued Ryan Gosling. So if you're into that, like Melinda is, you're really going to get a lot of that, because he is very subdued in this picture. But still, as a action movie, I think it really knew what worked well. Fast paced, not staying long at any point in time, anywhere, and it really benefited from it.
Perfect. I'm excited to watch it. I can't wait.
Fair enough. But yes, The Gray Man looks like it will definitely have a future on Netflix. The $200 million gamble by Netflix looks to have paid off and paid off very well, with it being number one in 92 countries around the world, and also as well a sequel and prequel on the way. So, what are your thoughts out there? Did you get a chance to check out The Gray Man, which is the hot movie right now on Netflix? Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. And let us know what you'd like to see in the future for The Gray Man. As far as the agency, would you like to see Ryan Gosling return? What would you like for a prequel as far as where it would go from there? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the break, my friend, I want to go ahead and really, tell you out there, to really tell everyone out there how angry I am at Meta, aka Facebook, aka whatever you want to call it at this point in time, because Meta really did a blunder, a public relations blunder this week before they announced the fact that they've lost $2 billion in the last quarter, before they talked about how their future is trying to progress and what they're trying to do to get out of whatever they or got themselves into. They announced via a press release that they are increasing the price for their MetaQuest 2 by $100, going from $299 for the base unit to $399. They're saying it's because of the cost of inflation and chipsets and the whole nine yards, shipping and supplies, and they give the standard excuses in 2022 that we've heard from a lot of other places. But going up $100 and making it now $400 instead of $300, that's pretty pricey for gamers. And now you're asking to pay as much for that as a console in many cases. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X is not that much more expensive. So I ask you, my friend, when you heard that, what were your first thoughts? Because I know already when we posted that on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, a lot of people were not happy about what Meta's doing.
Yeah, it might not. Okay, I don't know how to put this just so I get right to my point. It might not be a money grab. Maybe they are telling us the truth. Maybe it is taking that much to get a hold of the components that they need to build the headset. Maybe, I mean, actually, not a maybe. We know that shipping around the world is a mess. I'm still waiting for some new tabletop RPG books that I ordered like a year ago to arrive. And it's a delivery issue. A shipping issue, I should say. So, maybe they are telling us the truth, and maybe the $100 a set is justified somewhere down the line if you go back far enough. But as a consumer, it really is starting to get silly.
Yeah.
I mean, the price of gas is crazy. Here in Vegas, your water bill is out of control. Electricity is along those same lines. And you're going to take something that I'm trying to use as an escape from all of those things, and you're going to charge me another $100 for it? I'm going to just go buy a PS5 and call it a day, son. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, I mean, and it's not like $100 for, let's say, like a two or three or $4,000 TV. hundred
Yeah.
dollars price. That's a little incremental thing. This is 25%. You're
Yeah.
increasing it by. That's a huge increase. That's more than the cost of standard living. That's more than inflation itself.
Yep.
That's something that tells me that they are trying to go ahead and try and sneak a profit out of it. Most of the time when you're talking about consoles, except for Nintendo's case, I think, from what I've been able to ascertain, it's just a guess, mind you. But over the years, I've been able to ascertain that I think Nintendo is probably one of the few individual entities that puts out consoles at a slim or maybe even a little bit larger than that profit. Xbox, PlayStation, they've always put out consoles at or near or below cost, as far as it's concerned, as far as them just worrying about putting it out there, even if they're taking a loss on it first. Over the course of time, as these unit gets older, the prices become cheaper as far as being able to make these consoles, and then they become a little bit more profitable over time. So let's say the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series, PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, they're a lot more profitable or cheaper to make than they were, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So they might be making a profit every time they buy one of those. Whereas the MetaQuest 2, you're in an industry, you're in a marketplace right now that's very much in flux. PlayStation VR 2 has not come out yet. And if it comes out and it's somewhat better than what you're offering with MetaQuest 2, people are going to go right back to making that the number one VR component out there, just like they did before. But even then, the sales of the PSVR, PSVR 2, MetaQuest, or MetaQuest 2, those pale in comparison to what the consoles do. And if you want to go ahead and build on this market, you cannot be having PR hits like the one you made with $100 price increase. That's just killing your business.
Yeah, that feels like a pretty big whoopsies. I mean, you know what? Even if you had it done like a $50 price increase and then 6 months from now raised it again, it might have felt as a consumer a little more palatable than just, "Hey, guess what?
Yeah.
Another $100, please."
Just really a bad move by Meta, and I'm just going to say it right out there. And I really think that was a mistake on their part, and I think they will be feeling it. I know that already the gamers were upset with their recent advertising campaign that was kind of a little bit teasing or poking fun at gamers, and
Mm.
because they're trying to get a marketplace from consumers that are not gamers, not gamer centric. They were trying to get consumers to go ahead and buy it and use it that are not gamers normally or traditional gamers or anything like that because they had software that is outside of the gaming realm. So they wanted to go ahead and make sure everybody knows that there's stuff for them. But the thing is, gamers are the core of what VR is all about still. And I think that if you're trying to go ahead and alienate them, the two things you don't do is you make fun of them
Mhm.
and you poke fun of them like you did, and now you raise the price on them. So that's a double whammy, and I really think that was a bad move and a bad sign for the future of VR of the VR marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. What they need to do is they need to come out with some kind of material that is resistant to Cheetos dust. Once they figure that out, let me tell you, they're onto something. Of
Flaming
course, I'm
hot,
yeah, of course I'm just kidding, but that's kind of the where they were though. Like
yeah.
when they were, poking fun at gamers and stuff like that. That's the vein that they were in. Maybe mine was a little funnier. Should write a letter.
Another letter indeed. Another protest outside of this time Meta for Melinda Barkhouse Ross. Make sure you have those flaming hot Cheetos in your hand while you're doing it, though, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, big smear on the page. Perfect.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts out there? What are your thoughts out there on the price increase of $100 effective August the 1st for MetaQuest 2? Please let us know your thoughts. If this is outrageous, if you were contemplating getting a VR unit, the MetaQuest 2, and all of a sudden you see the price going up by $100, does it stop you from buying a MetaQuest 2? Are you mad that Meta went ahead and did this like so many people that I've actually reached out to and actually seen comment on this over the past week? Please let us know your thoughts on the price change for MetaQuest 2. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, coming up next, we're going to be talking some trailers, Oppenheimer, Blonde, and Samaritan, the future of Tomb Raider, some under the radar TV shows, and a little bit more than that as we close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the show. It's the PCC Multiverse. It's Melinda Barkhouse Ross and me, Gerald Glassford, right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to go ahead and mention again the new store for our good friends, our awesome sponsor, Retro City Games. Doug and Nicole have opened up a new store on Stephanie, right there for you, 213 North Stephanie. It is the letter H. You go ahead, check it out right there. It's just off the 215 freeway right there in Henderson, Nevada. If you're in the Las Vegas and Henderson area, there's no better place to go for your video games than Retro City Games. Also, as well, check out their awesome store at Town Square on Las Vegas Boulevard for everybody that's either a tourist or actually a regular going in and out of Las Vegas. But Melinda, I know you've got some great things going on for your awesome series of tabletop RPG games. The action is always there for Wild Beyond the Witchlight and Wizards and Wine. And of course, get your fangs out for
Hmm.
Vampires and Vitae.
Yeah, so we are currently working on a big old project, and once the project is up and running, we are going to start sharing the information, and we're very, very excited about it. Something new is coming. Anyway, what I need to tell you about right now, though, is The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So this coming Monday, we are back to the Halifax table. And the Halifax table, when we wrapped up the last time, um, had just crossed into the Feywild from the Witchlight Carnival. They found the portal. They went through it. Mr. Witch and Mr. Light gave them a tiny bit of information, probably not enough. So their first couple of days in the Feywild could be a little rocky. I'm excited to get into it though. And for Vampires and Vitae, all of our characters were forced to sit around an actual round table and were forced to kind of come clean to each other about some of the stuff that everybody had been kind of holding close to their chests. So, if you are, if you have been following along Vampires and Vitae, that podcast that's going to drop tomorrow is going to drop a lot of information if you happen to miss our live stream last Sunday. So we're very excited. I have a feeling this conversation that the characters have is about to kick the season into a very high gear, and I'm very excited for it.
And you can catch it where?
You can catch both podcasts anywhere you prefer to consume your podcasts from. And you can catch the live stream right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos Twitch channel. You can catch us on the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page, as well as the Vampires and Vitae and Wizards and Wine Facebook pages as well. So we go to both places at the same time. And yeah, we're just super grateful for everybody who's been along for the ride so far. And it's about to get wild in both podcasts.
And indeed it is. So check out today Vampires and Vitae, and of course, everything going on with Wizards and Wine with Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Our good friend Roger is also commanding the ship every Monday for the Demolition Force. And let's not forget the great weekend shows that are provided by our good friend Mitch. DM Mitch is always on the scene right there with shows on Saturday and Sunday as well. Again, that's 5 shows that we showcase for you. That's about 15 hours of content right there each and every week. That's why we're the number one tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook. And there's no one better at tabletop RPGs than the Pop Culture Cosmos. Well, my friend, there's still much more to talk about on today's program. I know you checked out some trailers before we went on the air. First one I want to talk about is a movie that's not coming out till pretty much a year from today. The trailer was first shown off if you checked out Nope in the theaters. And then a couple days later, Universal Pictures actually showcased it off on the Universal Pictures YouTube channel in the form of Oppenheimer, the latest Christopher Nolan movie, which is again coming out this time next year. And it's done on a loop. So if you go to Universal Pictures on YouTube, you're going to see a channel or a selection there for the Oppenheimer trailer, and you're going to see it on a loop. So you can't miss it. It's not like you have to go ahead and rewind. It's just playing and playing and playing. It's only 90 seconds long or so, but it's playing, and playing. Doesn't show you a whole lot. Just Cillian Murphy dressing up as Oppenheimer with a whole bunch of voices, including I think Robert Downey Jr. I think I heard Josh Brolin. I think I heard a couple other voices as well talking about the man himself and how important he was to the world at that point in time. But yeah, definitely sets the mood for Oppenheimer, both the mystery and also the intrigue, but also the danger that comes with what he was working on and the ultimate, I guess the ramifications of what his work had done.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the kind of like out of the box marketing that I love to see from big companies like that. This is a move that I would expect to see from like some really forward thinking independent movie companies. So to have it coming from one of the big companies, I think is pretty amazing. To have it on a loop, 24-hour loop for, I mean, is it going to run for an entire year? I'm probably gonna check in 6 months. I'm
I bet
probably
you
gonna
will.
check in 3 months. I'm gonna check in 8 months. I'm gonna check in a week just to see if it's still up and if it's still running. I think it's brilliant. It's obviously working because it's getting people talking about it. Here we are talking about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I think it's very clever and well done. Hats off. I think it's great.
think it's a novel idea, and I think
Yeah.
that's like you said. Let's see how long it lasts. Will it play the entire year leading up to the film? We'll wait and see. But definitely very interesting for how Universal Pictures is going to be presenting Oppenheimer. But then again, Christopher Nolan, he always wants something different as far as showcase. I remember his insistence on actually presenting Tenet in the theaters, and unfortunately, I think he got burned by that. And it's also the movie studio got burned by that because of what happened with COVID, and nobody really wanted to go to the theaters at that point in time. I thought that was a insistence that I think that should have either waited for another year or two to bring out Tenet or put it out on a streaming format. I think that would have been killer, putting it out on a streaming format at that point in time. I think HBO Max had the rights. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I definitely thought that was a miscalculation on his part. But his insistence on seeing it in an IMAX theater, I get it. It's a beautiful picture. I've seen it. It's a little long, sometimes a little bit too long for its own good, but it's still a very solid picture. And I think that it was really misserviced by the fact that Christopher Nolan had to have it out when he had to have it out.
Yeah, I agree with that, but, I don't know. There's just something about it. I don't know. I'm very intrigued. Very, very intrigued.
Very
And I
interesting.
think that that's what they wanted to accomplish, and I think that they've
Yeah.
done it, so.
Well, an all-star cast. That cast is loaded as far as the individuals that are part of it. So please, yeah. So definitely check out the trailer. It's on the loop right now at Universal Pictures on YouTube. Also, as well, we checked out the trailer for Blonde from Ana de
Yeah.
Armas. We just talked about her in The Gray Man. She did a solid job there. This is going to be the NC-17 depiction of Marilyn Monroe. I kind of, as much as I like Ana de Armas as an actress, I think that her accent kind of poked through a couple of times in Marilyn Monroe's voice as her acting it as Marilyn Monroe, and not sure I'm 100% either which way I'm digging it or not. Your thoughts on Blonde? I know you had a chance to check it out.
Yeah, you said that, just shortly after I watched the trailer, and I completely missed it. I didn't hear the accent come through at all. Um, so there's that. But man, that's gonna be a heavy film.
Yes.
And finally, I think we may really look at what it was like to be Marilyn Monroe and dealing with that level of celebrity at that point in time. I mean, we understand that being a celebrity right now is pretty tough.
Yeah.
There's no break. But in Marilyn Monroe's time, when you were Marilyn Monroe, there also wasn't much of a break. But there also wasn't the ways that you can hide from the press and the public that celebrities, I think, tend to enjoy now.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be heavy, and my heart's already broken all over again for Marilyn Monroe, and I haven't even seen the movie yet.
Well, definitely it's going to be something that only adults can see because it's an NC-17 rating.
Yeah,
It won't actually, I think, earn enough money at the box office to become the biggest NC-17 movie of all time. It doesn't really have to do a whole lot dollars wise in order to do so because I think that it's going to be only showcased in a limited amount of theaters in order to gain any type of Oscar consideration, and then they'll just put it out on Netflix. But yes, it is NC-17. Just making sure that the kids are not able to watch this because it is definitely going to deal with adult subjects. So looking forward to it. It's going to be the end of September. It is Ana de Armas and Blonde. The last trailer before we head to the break, my friend, and talking about is Samaritan. I know you didn't get a chance to see this one, but I think with Sly Stallone, I think you're good. You can pretty much get the idea of what he's doing here. He's a
yeah,
former superhero. He's actually just working the trash, just basically as a trash man, just working for the department, doing a good job, just like 9 to 5, like everybody else. Wants to go ahead and mind his own business as a man older in age, just trying to go ahead and live out his life. And I guess for circumstances that happen, as far as criminals are concerned, he has to go ahead and don I guess the costume that he wore. He had to become the superhero once again that he didn't want to be. A kid found out who he was and called him out on it, and again, that's led to him having to go ahead and battle bad guys in Samaritan. something that's going to be ending up on Amazon Prime here later in August. So that's going to be interesting. But your thoughts on Sly Stallone still rocking it at this age in the 70s right now, still rocking out there doing his thing on action thrillers. Kind of reminds me what he used to do every single 2 or 3 months back in the 80s and 90s out in the
Yes,
theater.
really seems like it, doesn't it? And it's so funny because, Robbie and I just watched Demolition Man the other night. So,
Mm,
anyway, but no, I'm gonna give this one some time. Sly Stallone as a aging superhero. I'm into
okay.
that. I'll watch that. I'm
No
not gonna.
cursing though. No
Right.
cursing because you watch Demolition Man. That's going to be a demerit.
Yeah. That's right. Uh, but is it gonna have me running up the stairs and celebrating at the top of the stairs? Only time will tell that part of it, but I am definitely, going to be watching that one on Amazon
It
Prime.
it doesn't look like it has those high of expectations. Just basically, it's going to be something that a formula that is
Yeah.
not unfamiliar. It's something pretty basic to put Sly Stallone in there, even at his age, to still go in there. That's going to be something that he's comfortable with, and I think that's pretty good. It's not doing anything out of the norm. Just something that we're all used to seeing him, and that's something that he is used to. Now, he would love it if he could have the rights to Rocky back, but I guess that's a long going issue that he talked about a couple weeks ago. They was still
Yeah.
upset by that he doesn't have the rights for Rocky. I think that's another issue altogether. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what he has to say and do in Samaritan coming up at the end of August. So definitely some interesting movies. And the reason why we're touching on these three, because these three were not showcased at Comic Con.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely something very interesting and neat. In fact, in a light week, they kind of provided a little bit of interest for us. So what are your thoughts out there on Samaritan for Sly Stallone in a hopefully a good movie coming up on Amazon Prime at the end of August? Blonde coming up in September, the NC-17 depiction of Marilyn Monroe with Ana de Armas, and Oppenheimer coming a year from now with Cillian Murphy in the title role with a whole big star-studded cast. Josh Brolin, like I said, also as well Robert Downey Jr., a ton of people involved from Christopher Nolan. What are your expectations for these movies? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, we're almost through another great episode, but before we head on out, the future of Tomb Raider is now up for debate as MGM is no longer has the rights for the Tomb Raider franchise on the screen, so it can literally go anywhere. Disney Plus could take it, or Disney could take it. Could go in the hands of Universal, which we just talked about, Paramount. Any of these entities could go ahead and end up actually gaining the Tomb Raider franchise. The question I ask for you first, would you be interested in gaining the Tomb Raider franchise, or do you think it's already been played out after the Alicia Vikander movies that did all right, nothing great, but again, didn't seemingly end on the greatest of notes, but still, is there a future for Tomb Raider in a movie or TV format?
I think so, absolutely. And I've been racking my brain, ever since you start kind of gave a bit of a tease for it, as to who would take on the role of Laura Croft. I'm not sure, but I think I've landed on someone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's controversial. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Address all of your emails to popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Yell at Gerald. Don't yell at me.
Okay, not anything vampires and Vitae on Twitter. Never, not that.
Yeah,
No,
right.
can't do
No,
that.
definitely not that. Or Wizards and Wine on Twitter
Okay,
either. But what do you think of Daisy Ridley as
not too
Lara
bad.
Croft?
I
Right?
wouldn't say that's a bad idea. Although with Daisy, she needs, I think, a movie to get her back in the swing of things. I think that Daisy really her star power after what's happened with Star Wars, especially the Last Skywalker, and how bad that movie was, and that did not end her career on that well of a note. So definitely, if she gains the role of Lara Croft, it definitely could spike interest. I personally think that she's not going to be able to move the needle, so I'm not sure if somebody would pull the trigger on that or would actually go with her right now because I don't think she's done anything lately that's really been notable personally. I
Yeah.
really would. I would lean into an American playing that role who actually
Oh,
can do an accent, and that is Tessa Thompson, who is coming off Thor: Love and Thunder. Thinks she can pull off a credible accent. You already see what she does, playing Valkyrie, and she was born in L.A., close to where I was born at. So I think that might be for me a good choice. Hey, British actors and actresses always play Americans. Australian actors and actresses always play Americans. Why can't it go the other way around? Have
hey,
Tessa
there's
Thompson do it.
absolutely no reason why they can't. And
Hmm.
I'm upset now that I didn't think of Tessa Thompson for it.
I think
Yeah,
she would be great.
she'd be stunning actually.
Yeah, she's a
Yes,
she's a she's a marketable name out there. Kind of on the well, even though Thor: Love and Thunder is not hitting the heights that I think Marvel wanted to, it's still going to be a 700-800 million dollar picture. So, still her name's out there. She's gotten decent reviews for what she's done in Thor: Love and Thunder and all the other stuff that she's done. She's marketable, good
very
actress.
possible. Yeah. She's stunning, which is part of Laura Croft. You do have to be
Mhm.
stunning.
She's on
And
Westworld.
yeah. Yeah, I'm really into this, Gerald. Who do we write a letter to?
Well, anybody's game right now because Tomb Raider is a free agent. So I mean, basically, it comes down to Tomb Raider and Eidos, and whoever owns the property now. Because I know that Square Enix is, their deal as far as the dealing with the Tomb Raider IP. I know that was something that was of great concern to them, and how it got released, and how the games themselves did not do as well as they thought they would. And I know Square Enix and Tomb Raider have kind of not seen eye to eye as far as concerned, but I know there are Tomb Raider games coming up still in the future for fans out there, and I think that we could go ahead and maybe pitch it to a movie studio or two. I think maybe
I think
Paramount,
I
Disney.
I I think that we need to pull the change that we both pull out of our couches and try
Hmm.
to start a production company and get those rights ourselves. Let's just
There
do
you
it.
go. Let's just do it, indeed. But then I'd pitch it to. I think Paramount. This would actually that a blend. I think of Tomb Raider on Paramount. I would say Paramount Plus. I would think that would be a good place for it. Maybe
Would you go?
Netflix. You can always go Netflix, but come on, everybody
Would
goes
you
net.
would you go movie or would you go TV show?
That's a question. That's a
Right?
good, really good question. Tessa
Yeah.
Thompson, I think probably would want to do just movies, but
Yeah.
if you would have to get probably an unknown actress or a not as well known actress, Daisy Ridley, to do a TV series, 6 to 8 episodes. You could see it working. That's a good idea. These days, a lot of these studios want them to go ahead and drag it on out to a 6 to episode TV series as opposed to a movie.
And I would make them like 75-minute episodes.
There you go.
I would push it just a little bit past an hour.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
the Orville is actually doing the something similar. They're just beyond an hour, but they're not, doing beyond, 90 minutes. They're actually like 100, excuse me, doing like an hour and 5, hour and 10 minutes. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right in that range. Not too bad. There you
Oh.
go. Well, everybody out there, what are your thoughts? Should Laura Croft
We
be?
should we make a production company and buy the rights to Laura Croft and cast it and produce it ourselves?
There you
That,
go.
that was the question, right?
Absolutely. That was the question. Does Tomb Raider have a future still as a movie or TV series? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, before we head on out, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and hear your thoughts on some under the radar TV shows, which we don't usually talk about on this show, which we need to start talking about. I have about three in mind myself, but I want to hear your thoughts on some shows that you think people need to know about. I mean, I know we drop them on the end of shows sometimes. I know we drop them on as far as the beginning sometimes, but we really don't get a chance to touch on some of the shows that are out there that really deserve some love. So, are there some under the radar TV shows that Melinda wants you to know about?
I'm not sure how under the radar they are, but I have two that came to mind. One of them is Upload. That's the one about right. So good, yes, so good.
I
Absolutely,
wish
that
they
was
were given a bigger budget, but
yeah.
what they use is very well done.
Yeah, it's so good. And oh no, now I've lost the other
It's on
one.
Amazon, by the way. Amazon Prime. You can catch both seasons right now. They were limited on their season two because of what happened to coronavirus. They only had a limited number of episodes, but they are coming back for season three. So yeah, very good show. Love the story. May have gotten as far as the love story that's based on it. May have gotten together just a little too quickly. As
Right.
far as maybe we could have spread that out a little bit longer, because that's usually the death knell for TV shows is when the guy and the girl, the are they, aren't they, when they finally get together, so to speak, that usually is the downfall of TV shows that when it
Yeah,
happens. But I'm hoping that there's still a lot of life left in Upload. I like the concept and I thought it really worked for me. I was
yeah,
surprised too because it at times it really looks a little low budget. And I really wish they were given a higher budget to enhance all the CG around it, but the story works so well. So yeah, I
it
couldn't agree
really
with you more on
does.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And another one, and I'm going to encourage you to find and watch the British version of it, because I've watched both the American and British versions. I have a slight preference for the British, and that's a show called Ghosts, and it's about this young couple who gets, the mysterious inheritance from a great, 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 three times removed aunt, and
Mhm.
they end up owning this estate that's, in horrible amounts of disrepair, but it's haunted by all, all of these different ghosts. And the female lead in the show, unfortunately has a really bad accident, but when she comes back from the accident, she can now suddenly see ghosts and speak to ghosts. It's quite funny. It's a little cheeky once in a while, which I am always here for. I love some cheeky humor, which the Brits are the best at, let's be honest. Yeah, I encourage you to find and watch Ghosts. It's fine if you get the American version. The British version I find just a little bit better.
Well, the thing is with the American version, it's been a big freshman hit for CBS to the
Mhm.
point where they've obviously given it another season that a lot of people are excited for. I know my house is actually really enjoys the US version of Ghosts. I know that it's been compared to The Office as far as the fact that they both have British compatriots that were actually created first. They played off of that and had huge successes of their own based off of that. In fact, that they evolved beyond what the British series themselves. I mean, we obviously saw with The Office where that went, and now it's still a mega hit as far as in reruns on Peacock. So, in fact, it's probably the only thing a lot of people check out on Peacock as far as what their numbers are telling me. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we know it was a big hit for Netflix as Netflix was growing up and going into the behemoth that it is today. It was on the basis of The Office and other several shows that were in reruns that they could just go ahead. They have the library of. So I know a lot of people were really, really loving The Office on that format. And the same thing goes for Ghosts. The Ghosts, people are really loving the US version of it, but the like you said, the Brit version, the British version is something that I think that everybody that actually watches the British version seems to have a tendency to prefer more on as far as ghosts are concerned. But yeah, definitely see the comparisons to The Office as far as the parallels, as far as where those two different series are going. So yeah, definitely good choices from that. I can definitely compliment you on that. Go ahead.
I did think of one more. And I don't know if it's exactly under the radar, but if you haven't watched it, you need to give it a little bit of time and you need to get through the first episode, because the first episode, um it's it's crass, but it's like a shocking level of crass, because they're trying
Mm-hmm.
to help you get past that so you can really enjoy the story. And
Mm-hmm.
that is a hockey-based show. As a Canadian, I've got a soft spot for all things hockey. But if you have not yet, please give the Letterkenny spin-off show Shoresy a little bit of your time.
Well, we've talked about it on two different episodes
We
here.
have, yeah.
I did watch it upon your request. I thought it was
Mhm.
really solid. I thought it was really interesting. And so, yeah, I definitely thought it was worth my time. I actually likened it to the Paul Newman movie Slapshot. I think I said
Mm,
to you that it was the 2022 version of Slapshot. If Slapshot
yeah.
was modernized, I think this is the show that you would get.
Yeah, I can tell you that sports media in Canada is raving about their show. They're calling it like, the greatest hockey event piece of media ever produced. People are just, going wild over the show in Canada. So I just want to make sure that this little gem of Canadian television makes its way into your home, because it's so worth it. It's such a fun watch, and it's once you get past the crassness, it is actually a very lovely story.
Well, there are three right there for you. And before we head on out, I've got three of my own. First two are Apple TV series, so check them out today on Apple TV. I know Apple TV has got a lot of actually good things that they're actually showcasing. Now, I know this time last year I was complaining about the lack of content, and Apple's were a good deal, a gazillion dollars. Why aren't they putting out more content? Well, they've have since I had those conversations, since I had those rants, put out a lot of good content. Obviously, Severance is the best thing going on TV today. I'm really going to rave about that show at no end. If you've not seen Severance, you are absolutely crazy. You've got to go ahead and check it out. It is the best freshman year of television in a long, long time. So I'm going to say that out loud once again. I'll say that to the moon if I have to. But that wasn't the Under the Radar TV show, because that's actually getting a lot of press, and it's gotten 14 Emmy nominations. So that's getting a lot of press. Three shows I think you should check out. Two are on Apple TV. The first is in season. It's already in three seasons. It's For All Mankind, and it's a alternate reality show where what if the U.S. lost the space race? What if Russia got to the moon first? What if they put moon bases on the moon? What if the I guess the excursions to Mars was really a lot more forward than it is right now currently? Takes those kind of it takes those kind of concepts. What if the consumer travel to space was already well advanced beyond what it is now? You could actually stay in a hotel in space and whatnot. Those kind of concepts are actually brought to light in For All Mankind. It showcases things from a NASA point of view, as far as seeing all the behind the scenes on what if it would happen to NASA, and as far as everybody involved. I think it's a pretty good watch. I've been binging it through here and there the past couple weeks, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing for All Mankind. So I give it a recommendation right there for an Apple TV. The second is another show that's getting a lot of praise that came out this year called Pachinko. And if
Okay.
you've not seen Pachinko, it is really something special. It showcases this family in two different times. One right around, I believe, it was World War. I think it was World War II, if I remember correctly. It's actually many years ago, or actually World War One. Actually, I think it actually touches on this family's plight as far as struggling in the midst of war, and then later on in 1989, this executive that wants to become even higher and go farther, in order to do so, he must go back to his homeland in Japan in order to go ahead and try and gain favor to go ahead and get the land rights. And in doing so, he revisits a lot of his past and his family's past. So it cycles between the 1989, and then also cycles back to 70, 80 years ago, as far as the travels of this family and going back and forth. It has been highly praised. It's got, I think, a high 80s on Metacritic. It is really well received. Got a great opening sequence, just like Severance. So yeah, if you're catching Severance there and you're finished with those episodes, check out Pachinko. It's coming out, I think, with a season two. I think Apple TV said, yeah, it's a great series. They're going to continue on with it. I think also as well, you need to check out For All Mankind. That's a good three-season watch right there for you. You can binge through that. Really good episodes right there for you. The last but not least, I want to go ahead and touch on is from FX, and that is Reservation Dogs, which highlights the Native American community. I really think that people need to check it out. It does so with class. It does so with humor, because Native Americans are actually telling their side of the story in a modern environment about what's going on, as far as the pitfalls, the still the tensions, and still the things that they still get and still feel to this day about how they've been treated, how they're still treated as a culture, and how they're still continuing to go ahead and live and excel in their lives. So yeah, definitely check out the great show, Reservation Dogs. It has been highly praised as well on FX, and right along there with Atlanta, which is going to be ending at season 4, which is final season coming up here soon. So check that out later this year from Donald Glover. Yeah, definitely. Those are two series to check out on FX as well.
Yeah, I've been Reservation Dogs has been one of those shows that's been on my list of things that I need to start watching. And it's been on that list for far too long. So perhaps it's time for me to just rip off the band-aid, so to speak, and sit down on the couch and have a good watch because every trailer that I've seen, every clip, every scene that I've managed to come across looks fantastic. And yeah, I'm upset with myself for not having taken the time to watch it much sooner than right now.
Are there any under the TV? Are there any under the radar TV shows that you want us to check out? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, we've covered a lot of things. I cannot thank you enough for being a part of it as always. Coming up on Monday, we're going to talk about, with Josh and I, we're going to talk about the DC League of Superhero Pets, of Super Pets. That movie that came out, that movie has come out, and I think we'll see how well it's done as compared to the second weekend of Nope. So we'll check out the box office theater. We'll go ahead and give you a report on Monday's show. We're also going to go ahead and talk about the WWE. Vince McMahon has retired. So what has happened since? We're going to go ahead and talk about that as SummerSlam. And also as well, Ric Flair's last match happened this weekend, or are happening this weekend. So we'll go ahead and talk about WWE SummerSlam, where the WWE is at. And of course, Ric Flair as he enters his last match this weekend. We'll go ahead and touch on that as far as what happened, what are some of the interesting takeaways, what are some of the thoughts on Ric Flair's last match in WWE SummerSlam. That's coming up on the Monday show as well. But my friend, as always, it's been a great episode, but we always will close out with you. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Yes. I will still be going to the theater to watch John Wick 74.
Okay.
Just wanted to I just wanted to put that out there. It doesn't
From
matter
his
if John Wick is mostly cyborg at that point. I will still go and watch those movies.
He will have died like 30 years prior and just be the
Yeah.
skeleton sitting on a wheelchair. People are going to have to like act around him. Yeah,
And I'll be like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Doing stunts and flips all over him. And yeah, it's just a skeleton.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So
No,
for
sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Yes, John Wick 74, indeed. There you go. Send that to the actual movie studio. How about that? I've got an idea for John Wick. Really? 5, 6? No, 74. You got to get there first. Gives me time to write it. Gives me a lot of time to write it. There you go. So from Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great